This call is now being recorded.
Okay, Dina, so tell me now, I know you've been to Atlantic City before, performed there, and I think in your book you wrote about your dad performing there with Jerry Lewis. Were you there for that engagement, or just...
Oh, no, I don't think I was born yet. Or maybe I
was.
Okay,
sorry, I didn't mean to read you.
Well, because I think that was probably 1940, 46 or 40. Well, you know what, they probably played there many times, but I know it was 1946, I think, was their...
Right.
Probably their first time, and what a funny scene that was, the way they told me about it. And in fact, I have a couple photos of them on the beach in Atlantic City, and what they used to do was Jerry would run into the water and pretend like he was drowning, and my dad would come and pull him out and pretend like he was giving him mouth to mouth, and crowds would come around, and then they would say, "Well, if you like this, come to our show tonight."
Right.
Yeah, so they were pretty wild.
Did you ever go to Atlantic City with him when he was performing there, or?
No, I never went when my father was performing. I went when my brother Dino was, with Dino, Desi, and Billy. And I'm trying to remember what year that would have been. They were little teen idols in the 60s, in the early 60s,
right.
yeah. So I went there and, of course, saw the horse jumping off the high dive. And it was pretty exciting. Yes.
Yeah. And then, of course, you've been there performing yourself now as with your own career.
Yes.
So.
Yes, I did. And it's quite an amazing place.
Yeah.
Atlantic City. Have you lived there all your life?
I live in Philadelphia, but I'm an area native, so I've been going there, for years and years. Yeah. So.
Oh, okay.
So, tell me about the show. You're going to be doing your dad's standards. That's the focus of it.
Yes, the show is called Dina Sings Dino, and it is so much fun, and it brings back such great memories, and memories for me, of course. And the show opens up with a video of my dad saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet my daughter, Dina." And then I walk out and kiss him. That was on the Deana Martin show.
Right.
And then after that stops, then Kick in the Head starts, and I come out and I sing "Ain't That a Kick in the Head," and all of Dad's great songs. Of course, "You're Nobody Till Somebody Loves You," and of course I sing some of the songs that my Uncle Frank sang, and I tell a few stories about growing up with an incredible family and all of the friends of my parents, and just hanging out at our house with the remarkable singers and writers. Imagine, Sammy Kahn on the piano and everybody sitting around singing. It was quite something. So I do quite a lot of my dad's songs, and of course the standards of "Everybody Loves Somebody" and "Memories Are Made of This," and that's "Amore." And I get, the whole crowd to sing with me. And one of my favorite parts of the show, and it seems like it's been a favorite part of a lot of people who come to see my show, is I asked for 3 volunteers to be my backup singers for "Memories Are Made of This," because I was actually at the original recording of "Memories Are Made of This," and I watched my dad record that, and I saw his backup singers, and so it's so cute, and you never know who you're going to get up there. Make them up and they sing "Sweet, Sweet, the memories you gave to me," and it's a great part of the show.
Sure.
And people just love it. I mean, and little people who come to the show, if they're 12 years old, they seem to know the words also. And of course, everybody sings along to "That's Amore." And I pay tribute to Bobby Darin and Nat King Cole by singing their songs, because these were people that I knew growing up. And so it's a mixture of the great stories, and I have fabulous musicians, and these arrangements, beautiful big band arrangements that were written by Charlie Colello, who was and Charlie Colello, he has so many hits, maybe 50, top 10 hits, and you'd know them all. And he has made some, these fabulous arrangements for me, and with the band, and it's like, being in front of a firing squad, when they start with the horns, and it's beautiful. And I have a video duet that I do with my dad for a song that's coming out on my next album, and that is "To True Love." And what happened is my handsome husband, John, found the original handwritten Nelson Riddle arrangement.
Wow.
Yes, and we went in and on yellow paper.
And
we
sure,
went in, and we went in and recorded that. And so for me to be able to sing a duet with my dad with home movies and video behind me, it's quite a wonderful moment in the show.
Right.
So there's lots of humor and
I
say fabulous songs.
Now, is there one song that means the most to you personally of the material?
Oh my gosh, probably Everybody Loves Somebody.
Mm-hmm.
It's so Dean Martin, and it's something that, and it's so much like him. Because I have never ever met anyone in my life that didn't love Dean Martin.
Right.
And he seemed to love everybody. He was so easy in his life that it just was so natural for him.
Right.
And that's what we have written on his headstone, at the Pierce Brothers, and it just says Dean Martin, Everybody Loves Somebody, 1917 to 1995, and it just says it all. And so I think that's and it was his theme song.
Right. Yeah.
So it just means so much to me, and it's and I that's the closer to my show, and I make a toast to him, and everybody seems to love that, but it's just. It touches me so.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I love Volare, and that's always a crowd pleaser. But I wish I had a longer show because there's so many songs of his that I love.
And was there a song did he have a favorite song of his? Do you think, or was there one the one that he really felt represented him? Or
I think it was still again it was Everybody Loves Somebody.
Yeah.
And. Of course, ain't that a kick in the head? Because that's so Dean Martin, also.
Right, sure.
And it's funny. I go to some of my friends' weddings or their children's weddings, and this is what they're playing. Some of a couple weddings I've gone to, they're walking down the aisle to "Ain't That a Kick in the Head?" and I'm going, what?
Right.
So he's with me everywhere I go. I hear him in the restaurants, and it's just, and of course, when anyone is introduced to me with a name like Deana Martin, they always say, any relation?
Right,
it's not like I was my sister Gail, where people wouldn't think that. So it's actually every day of my life, so I meet someone new. So that's pretty amazing.
You were talking about Everybody Loves Somebody being sort of a signature song for him, and what do you think the key is to his singing his music? Is it sort of having a light touch and keeping sort of that light swing to things? Is that what you try to do, or?
For me personally?
Yeah,
or is it what he was?
No, but when you do it, when you try to sort of recreate that Dean Martin feeling, what are you trying to do?
I'm trying to bring wonderful memories to the people who are hearing it. I do have my own arrangements that are, as I say, from Charlie Colello, but we follow the style and everything of my dad.
Right.
And I have it maybe a little bit updated, but I try, and I have that natural. There's that lilt that that he has in his voice that I have. It's not that I try and put it on, but there sometimes that it just comes through, and I just want to be respectful of his music and for me, what a joy to be able to sing his songs and the Great American Songbook, and to keep this legacy alive, and to build my own. And it's a treat, and I'm the happiest when I'm on stage. It's just something that's in me. It's in my DNA, and I get such a kick out of it. And obviously the audiences have been loving it also. So one of the greatest compliments is when they come up after a show, because I usually go out and meet people after, is they say, "My gosh, what great show! You were wonderful, and I loved your dad. I'm your dad's biggest fan." But you remind me so much of him, and that makes me feel wonderful. Right.
And did he, actually try to impart any lessons to you about performing, or was it just more that you got to watch him, and sort of just glean lessons from him by seeing him, or did he give you any advice?
He gave me some advice, and I did just kind of glean things from him, watching him, because I went to his shows at the Sands Hotel from the time I was a little girl, and watched him. Of course, I was able to go down to the Dean Martin show when he was, and beyond the show with him, and to sing with him. So, and just to watch his demeanor, and he was just so easygoing, and everything was okay with him. You never heard him, raise his voice. He was a different kind of human being. And I did ask him one time if I should take singing lessons, and he said no, unless you want to, sing like everybody else in the choir. That was it. But I wish I had taken them then, because you know what? For my dad, it came so naturally to him singing. He had that beautiful natural voice. I don't think that he understood where people don't have that. And that's something that maybe if you don't have it or don't know how to use it, you might need a little instruction. Of course, since then I have had vocal coaches, and Frank Sinatra gave me probably the best information I've ever received. When we were going to sing on the Dean Martin show, and I was going to sing a song with Uncle Frank, and I'm standing there, and I said to him, "So, how do you do it? How do you sing? How do you get that great tone?" And he said, "Dina, it's all about the air." He said, "I've taken a big breath, and I can tell even before it comes out if I'm going to be on pitch or not." And I said to him, I said, "Does my dad do that?" He says, "No, your father has no idea what he's doing. He just doesn't." And I thought, because and I do know Frank Sinatra, and I adored him, and he worked for every note he hit. My dad just seemed to know how to do it. My dad didn't warm up before a show. He could just walk out and do it. Whereas, as Frank, he would, an hour before the show, he's warming up and, doing all of that. So I learned so much from both of them. Yeah. And and I've watched them both, but it's lucky me. I have to say.
And I read that you have. I know you've written the book about your dad, the memoir and there was a movie version that's been sort of rumored for years. And I saw some mention of Johnny Depp was someone you thought might be a good choice to play your dad. Is that movie still a possibility?
Yes, it is, and it just in Hollywood things they move glacially slow, but we're trying. It's really difficult to get everything together. And Bonnie Hunt is going to be writing the screenplay, and she's been so busy, and so it's still in the works because I want it to be just right, and it has to be everything has to come at the right time. And Jennifer Love Hewitt, said, she wants to play me in the movie, so that will be very nice. And Joe Mantegna is going to be directing and co-producing with us. So, and it was funny when I had mentioned that I would, love Johnny to maybe play Dean Martin. He tweeted it. That was kind of cool. So we will see. So there's so much going on, and I know that in life everything has its own time. And so it will happen, and it will be wonderful.
And do you think your dad's been portrayed by other actors? Have they captured him, or you think you're yet to sort of really see someone be able to sort of capture him on screen?
Well, I think I haven't seen anyone really capture him. I think that Joe Mantegna was very, very respectful and really great when he portrayed Dad. It's very, very difficult to get all of Dean Martin because there was no one like him. And he was tall, dark, and handsome, and he was funny, and he could sing so beautifully, and he was super, super cool and sweet and laid back, and so we have to get someone who has all of that. The looks are very important. And it's and the way he walked. And I don't want a Dean Martin impersonator. I need a really good actor who can, because my dad was complicated, but and that's what's so amazing about him. He was just so phenomenal. So we need someone really good who could capture the essence of him, and I'm still trying to find that, and we will see. But I know there's someone there.
Right. And so much has been written about the Rat Pack and so many portrayals, and you know, I'm curious, since you're someone who actually was there, do you think it's, you know, what do you think made it this group of people that's such a strong connection? Why were they so bonded? And do you think that people have an accurate idea of what it was like, or you think it's, you know, a lot of sort of, you know, stories that are more hype than reality, or, you know, some of the wild goings on or whatever?
Well, I think that, you know, some of it, of course, is hype, and that's what people would want it to be. But these were, when I look at those three incredible, I mean, of course there were, you know, more people in the Rat Pack and the movies and everything, but Dean, Frank, and Sammy, they were the best at what they did. They were at the top of their game. First of all, they looked great. They could sing, they could dance, they could act. They loved each other. They had incredible respect for one another. And you just wanted to be around them. There was something that was just so, it was magic when you would see them individually, but when you would see them together and the way they would look at each other, and they were just having a great time up on stage, and I never saw them be jealous of each other. You know, one always wanted the other one to shine, and it was, I mean, and it was a time in life, with when Sammy Davis Jr. couldn't even stay in the hotel where they were playing, couldn't have dinner with them. And so these guys were, you know, at the forefront of all of this. And they even went to, you know, Jack and Trotter and said, we're not going to play here if Sammy can't stay here and he's here. I mean, they were incredible. There was just something so cool about them. And that also they, in the way they dressed and the way they looked and the fun that they had. Now, of course, my dad loved to be home. My dad didn't like to stay up and party. You know, I mean, he would go out with them a little bit. But he was more, my dad, usually he was home every night for dinner. You know, if he wasn't in Las Vegas or, you know, and he didn't go away that much because he would do Vegas a couple times a year and we would go see him. But my dad actually loved to go to bed early, get up and go play golf if he wasn't working. You know, that's the way he was. But, you know, you get them together, but to watch them on stage and to see them together, it was absolutely magical. And I remember sitting, you know, in the audience, and when my dad would walk out, and the audience would go, oh, there he is. You know, I mean, it was just so exciting. And he was bigger than life, and he was just, as I say, I can't even think of a better word than just magical.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that seems like a good note to end the interview on. So thanks so much for taking a little time out to chat. I appreciate it. You know, I did have one quick little question about the band you mentioned. How many pieces will you be bringing to Atlantic City?
We're going to have 18 of a big band, and so we'll have, you know, wonderful musical director Rick Creevy, who's played on all of my records, and we have the Rick Brunetto Band, so we've got all the Ricks, and it'll just be fabulous arrangements and, you know, lots of humor and a wonderful, wonderful evening. Are you coming, Rob?
You know, I hope to. We're a little far in advance. I think it's Memorial Day weekend, so I haven't made my schedule yet for that period, but I'll try and come down for the show. It sounds like it'll be a lot of fun.
All right, great. You'll have a great time.
Okay, Dina, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
All right. It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.